another video talking specifically about the things you may have missed, including this video you're watching right here. The new GR-GT, I keep wanting to call it the AMG GT, is clearly the cover car. It is the focus. It is Japan. It's Japan. I'm kind of disappointed, to be honest, they didn't have this and the Lexus on the cover. I think that would be super sick. But anyway, the other one's an EV, so I wish this V8 was in the, like, let's get on with it. We're going to talk about things you may have missed in this game because there is quite a lot in the trailer and also some extra details we were given after the fact. So, of course, we didn't do those straight away last time. And there's a hell of a lot, so let's get started. Now, I've had a little bit of time to process, digest exactly what we've just seen, and I think it's pretty obvious that I'm more excited than I've probably been since FH3, 4, 5. All three of those games, they just weren't for me in a spectacular way, and I think the biggest element here that is very, very obvious is they are now clearly focusing on getting more fan-requested features in here. This is something that they've kind of never really focused on before, but it's pretty clear in pretty much every aspect that they are really focusing in and getting it done. Now, first off, something that Nitrates, a friend of mine, noticed is that you can actually put two different sets of wheels on the car. Now, this is confirmed. This has been a thing that's like Need for Speed has been able to do for like the longest time, and it's a really nice feature, especially when you're talking about drift car and JDM culture. It kind of makes sense. And something that we already kind of knew was going to be a thing, if you watch the channel and you've got ears, the S15 has been remodeled. Yes, the S15, you've seen it a couple of times throughout the trailer. In fact, right at the beginning and a little bit later on, meaning we can retire that tired old model. I'm going to speak more about that model soon because there's some extra information about the car rebuilds and how they're specific to one category of car, which kind of makes sense, but it's a little disappointing. However, I'm very excited that the main ones are getting rebuilt. I really hope for the R34. We'll talk about that. They're talking about fan features that have been requested since basically the beginning of time. This is a big one. I don't know why it took them this long, considering they came from like a simulator-based physics engine model, whatever, and they all share car models and whatever. This game, for some reason, has never had steering animations wider than, is it 90 degrees? Maybe a little bit more than 90 degrees was the limitation, and when you're using a wheel turning at like, well, you can go up to like 2,000 degrees on the Turtle Beach wheels. Link in the description. They confirmed in the Q&A that they'll be upgrading it to 540 degrees. Still not quite the 900 degrees that people generally recommend and suggest and accept as kind of the requirement for basing of wheels. 540 degrees, it's fine. It's a much better improvement, and you'll see some flicking and stuff, so that's nice. I don't know what the hell they were thinking, keeping that 90 degrees per second. It's so bad. Yes, now Horizon Rush events. This is something I mentioned a little bit before. They are kind of technically already in Forza Horizon 5. You know, the way where the Lamborghini is drifting around, and it really reminds me of Juiced. And if you played Juiced, oh my god, they had stunt events. They were kind of ass, but the concept was really nice. But if you played FH5 in the last year, you would have already played kind of the base of that. And I love that when games do this, they test the waters and see if and give you a little bit early. We've already played it. The Horizon Realm events that we played, well, this year on the PlayStation version and the update that came out for the game, well, this is already that. In this game, it was known as just the skill mode, but the idea was you bank as much score as possible, and then that's it. Now, in this, it was a little bit more crazy. There were things to hit. Not to say that that won't be the case this time, but hey, we've already tried it out, and if you actually haven't tried it out before, you should probably try it out, because it's actually quite a lot of fun. It's their way of having drift events in the game that aren't as difficult for people that don't know how to drift. Is basically the way I would describe it. Takeover events in Need for Speed, anyone? Clearly, there's a little bit of inspiration there. Need for Speeds were a little corny. I kind of wish they, you know, put more effort into the drifting and stuff, but we saw how the drifting was initially. So another piece of confirmed information in the FAQ, this mentions specifically the PlayStation 5 version of the game will come out later this year. Now this really opens it up for them because they do have Fable, which is another game coming out, another major IP that's also launching day one on PlayStation, and likely that's taking the September slot. The GTA is taking the November slot, so they're going to keep that as far away as possible, and they said autumn, so September is probably the likely thing. By the way, can I just say Fable? Oh my god, Fable might be the most exciting Xbox IP. Like, Fable 2, I literally started playing Fable 2 again last night, and it's still as good as I remember. Probably my favorite Xbox IP, not gonna lie. I mean, a favorite IP, the one game was really good, and you know. Anyway, back to Forza. The reason they haven't given a solid date is obvious. If GTA doesn't come out, they can muddle the dates a little bit more, push it back, but the intent with delaying the PlayStation 5 version of the game is to maximize the sales of the Xbox console. I mean, they're still going to attempt to do this. I don't care whether you think it's over for the Xbox console as it exists. It doesn't matter. They're going to still try and move those consoles to make some money, right? They want to lock you in for GTA. You'll stay locked in. Basically, I expect, and I know people kind of want to hear this, I expect the PlayStation 5 version of the game to come out before Fable, but that could change. I think, once again, it's all dependent on what Rockstar does with GTA and whether you believe or not that the game is going to come out this year. I think it is. Now, one final piece, once again, the environments are probably the best pull in this game. And I think that is kind of insane to think about. Like, the progression in the environments are the biggest pulls for me. But looking at the elevation, of course, is really nice. But I think the biggest change and the most successful change in their map design for this game is the layered terrains, and they themselves mentioned this. Layered was kind of the focus. They want highways above roads. Normally, it's just been like an overpass, and it's under like one road. They really don't do layered roads in this game, and I kind of found that like amazing. Like, is this a technical thing? Was this kind of impossible to do so beforehand? Because I think that's one thing that other games did tremendously better than Forza, is having a road on top of another road. I don't know why that was so difficult, but hey, you know, I'm glad that that change has been done because it really makes like the biggest difference. Okay, everything here is going to be from the Q&A, and it's a lot to read. So what I'm going to do is give you what you want to know and then get rid of all the rest of it, because the rest of it is kind of just fluff. So, the Ferrari J50 we spoke about previously that's in Forza Horizon 5, that has been confirmed as the pre-order car, which suggests, remember that leak we saw? Yeah, that is all now confirmed. I mean, it kind of makes sense. The release date was also confirmed. The J50 was... So they themselves leaked their game little prematurely within their previous game, which I think is kind of hilarious to think about. Anyway, the reason, once again, for the J50 is it is a Japanese special Ferrari. It's going to be a tuned version, so they're probably going to make it actually drive impeccably well, and you get access to this by having a pre-order for the game. It's kind of interesting, obviously, because the car's already in Forza Horizon 5, so having that as the pre-order bonus is a little weird. That's one of the points I do want to mention, and I will talk a little bit more about some concerns and such coming a little bit later, but the main thing is that a lot of cars are already in the game are being taken out, not only to kind of fluff up the festival playlist, and not all of them are to rebuild them. To be clear, that is now confirmed that that's not the case, but charging as well for cars that we already have bought before is something Forza kind of tends to do. So if you're gonna buy the whole pass, kind of be cautious and realize that you're probably going to buy some cars you've previously bought. In the campaign section, they reiterate what I've been very excited to hear based on what was listed kind of beforehand. When you first arrive in Japan, you don't start as a superstar of the festival or a racing champion, nor do you start as a rookie. Instead, you'll start out as a tourist. The campaign is focused on a journey, building a name for yourself. Along the way, you meet legends of the Horizon Festival, experience authentic stories rooted in Japan's car culture, basically similar to Forza Horizon 5, right? Your first goal is to join the Horizon Festival. As you do this by completing Horizon qualifiers, after that, you'll rise through the ranks unlocking wristbands as you complete races and events in faster and more exciting cars. Super sick. Very excited. Finally progression in Forza Horizon. It's been since the first game. It took them 6 games. What, five, I guess. So this is a little concern of mine. In this, they mention the rescanned cars. And that, of course, very exciting. Some of these cars are older than some of you watching this video. Basically, we're only getting JDM Classic some let me reword that. Some classic JDM cars rescan. There are more than just JDM cars that need rescanning. In fact, some of these cars are not scans at all. They're done by eye, very clearly. They are very, very wrong. It's not just that they are old. Okay, no, it's partly that they're old, but it is that they are properly wrong. Some people were expecting that the 300 cars missing from the game at launch are because of the fact that they're being rebuilt. Very likely not the case, especially if we are getting only some JDM cars, classic JDM cars being rebuilt. I mean, it makes sense as the classic ones, but the good news is the cars that are being rebuilt are going to have new customization, obviously, because I can't use the old parts. So if you're expecting the Japanese classic JDM cars to get the new customization, you'd be right. Good news. But overall, we'll have to see what gets rebuilt, because please, Matt, please. One of the other cool, quick elements is that there are in-session drag meets, and the car meets are also in session. So the idea is that there's no loading into those sessions. You basically just rock up and you get sessioned there live in the game. And this is something that's possible probably because of the new generation platforms and a baseline level of performance from these platforms. I mean, the Xbox Series consoles are the only ones that the lowest baseline that people will be playing on. I guess there'll also be weak PC, but you get my point. There's a certain level of hardware that's expected for this game, and finally they're able to do something like that. 60 FPS and 30 FPS modes have been confirmed for both platforms. PlayStation will likely have the exact same, but usually, previously, last time, what happened in Forza Horizon 5 is that the PS5 Pro had a mode a little bit higher where it had the fidelity in a 60 frames, but still kind of rendered PSSR upscaling. Basically, the best place to play it is going to be PC as usual. That's just the way it is. But I can't wait to see how this game looks. They have done some massive improvements to how the engine works for Forza Motorsport. If you want to know if you could run the game, try playing Forza Motorsport. If you can't run Forza Motorsport, good luck, because this is open world on the Forza Motorsport engine. So, yeah. People saying that it doesn't look much better. I mean, I'm sorry to tell you, the rework of the engine is really good. The thing that was holding it back previously was the car models, and now it's going to look spectacular. I can't wait to see what this game looks like. There were still some issues with the engine that seem to have carried through to this next version of the game, but once again, I mean, Turn 10 are now a support studio, so we'll see if that ever gets solved. Maybe Playground will have to get in there and solve it. And this is one of the big ones. Crossplay is confirmed, as it was previously, but also cross-save. Oh my god, thank you so much. This is something I love from the Crew Motorfest because you can literally take your progress and jump between platforms. Even though that game doesn't have proper cross-play outside of the PvP, I can jump between PlayStation and PC and play with those friends on those systems. That's really nice. Thank God! Steam and Windows versions now have cross-save. I don't know why that wasn't a thing before, because there are tools for you to be able to move your save from the Windows version to Steam, so why it took this long, I have no idea. But I am very excited about this. One thing I'm kind of annoyed about is that if you buy the DLC on one, you won't be able to access it on the other, which I get, because they want to maximize the money. I mean, it doesn't work like that on any other game, so... but it's kind of annoying. It's kind of stupid. Anyway, Forza Horizon 6... it's coming, and I expect the PlayStation version won't be too far behind, so don't worry, you won't have to wait that long. But my suggestion, I'm gonna be honest, going forward, through the future, the whole future, what we've got to do is look at just jumping to PC. It's gotta be honest. Whether you're not a Windows liker or not, PC's gonna be the place to be. You buy it once, you can play it on a portable, on your home PC, your laptop, you can play it everywhere. It just kind of makes sense. So I'm gonna be buying it on Steam. Very excited. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, and I'll be back with more Forza Horizon 6 as soon as we get